Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fluent English DCD podcast. We're here to make learning English fun, practical, and easy. No matter where you are on your English journey, we're so happy to have you here. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Emma. We speak at a medium speed, so it's easy to follow, but you can always adjust the playback speed to suit your comfort level.
In each episode, we'll focus on a key topic, whether it's for everyday conversations, English exams like IELTS and TOEIC, or casual chats with friends. You'll learn how to answer 3 common questions using helpful expressions and discover 3 idioms or phrases to make your English sound more natural.
Before we jump in, let's introduce the DCD approach: daily, consistency, and discipline. The 3 keys to steady progress.
Daily. Practicing a little every day makes a big difference. Consistency. Like watering a plant, small efforts add up over time. Discipline. Even on busy days, showing up keeps you on track.
Stick with this method, and you will see real improvement. If you enjoy this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now, let's get started.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Fluent English DCD podcast. I'm Jeff, your host, and today's topic is Think Smart, Speak Fluent, helping you express yourself clearly and confidently.
Hi, I'm Emma, your co-host. Speaking fluently isn't just about vocabulary or grammar. It's about how you think in English. Organizing your thoughts plays a huge role in smooth speech.
Absolutely. We're also joined by Dr. Olivia Green, an expert in language learning. Olivia, welcome.
Hi, Jeff and Emma. Excited to share insights on how thinking smart can boost fluency.
In this episode, we'll cover practical tips to help you think in English and speak naturally.
Exactly. Whether you're a beginner or aiming to improve fluency, stay with us for helpful strategies.
And we'd love to hear from you. Drop your questions in the comments. We may answer them in future episodes.
Let's get started. First, a fun dialogue to show how thinking smart improves fluency.
Ugh, Michael, I always know what I want to say, but when I try to speak, I just freeze.
I totally understand. It used to happen to me all the time, but I found that changing the way I think in English made a huge difference.
Changing the way you think? What do you mean?
Well, instead of translating from my native language, I started training my brain to think directly in English. At first, I practiced with simple sentences like naming objects around me.
That sounds interesting. So instead of thinking, I need to translate this sentence, you just say whatever comes naturally?
Exactly. And I also use mental associations, like imagining pictures instead of words. For example, instead of thinking the sky is blue in my native language first, I just picture the blue sky and say it directly in English.
That makes so much sense. I'm going to try it.
Trust me, it works. And the more you do it, the faster your brain gets at forming sentences naturally.
That was a great example of how training your brain to think smart can help you speak more fluently. Now, let's move on to our first question.
Question 1. Why is it important to think in English?
This is a great way to start the discussion. Jeff, why do you think it's important to think in English?
Thinking in English saves time. When you stop translating every sentence in your head, your brain processes information much faster. This makes conversations flow more smoothly and allows you to respond naturally.
Exactly. It also helps you sound more natural because you're forming sentences the way native speakers do. If you constantly translate from your native language, the structure might not match the way English is spoken, leading to awkward phrasing. Olivia, what do you think?
Absolutely. When you think directly in English, you stop worrying about grammar rules and start focusing on expressing your thoughts clearly. Grammar is important, but fluency is about confidence and communication, not about being perfect all the time.
That's a great point. Also, thinking in English helps improve listening skills because you become more familiar with the rhythm and flow of the language. You stop relying on translation and start understanding the meaning of words in context. This makes conversations more intuitive.
So, to answer this question, you can say, thinking in English helps me speak faster and more naturally because I don't have to translate. It also makes me a better listener and helps me sound more like a native speaker.
Question 2. How can you start training your brain to think in English?
Now, let's talk about practical steps. Jeff, how can learners start training their brains to think in English?
A great way is to start describing things around you in English. If you see a tree, just think, "That's a tree. It has green leaves." The more you do this, the more natural it becomes. Instead of translating the word tree from your native language, you automatically associate it with its English meaning.
That's a great tip. Another technique is narrating your daily activities. For example, when you're making coffee, think, "I am making coffee. The coffee smells good. I am pouring milk into my cup." This kind of simple thinking exercise helps build a habit of forming English sentences in your mind.
I love that. Another useful method is talking to yourself in English. You can do this internally or out loud. For example, as you walk to work or school, describe what you see. There's a red car. The weather is warm today. I need to buy groceries later. The more you do this, the more automatic English thinking becomes.
That's a great approach. Also, try asking yourself questions in English and then answering them. For example, ask yourself, "What am I doing right now?" Or, "What do I need to do today?" Then, respond in English. Even simple questions like, "How do I feel right now?" or "What do I want to eat for lunch?" Train your brain to think directly in English.
Another powerful technique is immersing yourself in English media. Listen to podcasts, watch TV shows, or read books in English. The more you expose your brain to the language, the more naturally you'll start thinking in English.
Yes. And when you listen, don't just passively absorb the content, repeat sentences out loud, or write down useful phrases. Shadowing native speakers by mimicking their speech helps you internalize sentence structures and vocabulary.
So, to answer this question, say, "I train my brain by describing my surroundings, narrating my actions, asking myself questions, immersing in English media, and practicing shadowing techniques."
Question 3. What are common mistakes to avoid when thinking in English? A lot of learners struggle with thinking in English. Jeff, what are some common mistakes they should avoid?
The biggest mistake is trying to be perfect. It's okay to make mistakes. Fluency comes from practice, not perfection. Many learners hesitate because they're afraid of saying something wrong. But mistakes are part of learning.
That's so true. Another mistake is overthinking grammar rules while speaking. Of course, grammar matters, but if you focus too much on getting everything perfect, you'll lose fluency. Instead, focus on communicating your ideas clearly.
Also, avoid translating in your head. This slows you down and makes your speech unnatural. Instead of thinking in your native language first, train your brain to associate English words directly with their meanings.
That's a key point. Another mistake is not practicing enough. Many learners spend too much time studying, but not enough time using English in real-life situations. The best way to improve is through practice, even if it's just talking to yourself.
Another challenge is sticking to only one method. If you only focus on one approach, like reading, you might struggle with speaking. It's important to mix different methods. Listening, speaking, reading, and writing to develop overall fluency.
One last mistake is not being patient with yourself. Learning to think in English takes time. Celebrate small progress and stay consistent.
So, a good answer to this question is, avoid trying to be perfect, overthinking grammar, translating in your head, not practicing enough, relying on only one method, and being impatient with your progress.
Now, let's learn some fun idioms related to thinking smart and speaking fluently that you can use in everyday conversations.
1. Think on your feet. Think on your feet. Think on your feet. This means to react quickly and effectively in a situation. It's a great skill for fluent speakers, as conversations can be unpredictable. Example: in a job interview, you need to think on your feet when asked unexpected questions. Or, public speakers must think on their feet when responding to audience questions.
2. A slip of the tongue. A slip of the tongue. A slip of the tongue. This refers to making a small mistake while speaking, often by saying something you didn't mean to. Example: oops, I said sheep instead of ship. Just a slip of the tongue. Or, she called her teacher Mom by accident. It was just a slip of the tongue.
3. Lost for words. Lost for words. Lost for words. This means not knowing what to say, often due to surprise or strong emotions. Example: when he won the award, he was completely lost for words. Or, she was lost for words when she saw the breathtaking view from the mountain.
These idioms are not only fun to use, but also help your English sound more natural. Using expressions like these adds depth to your conversations and makes you sound more fluent. Let's practice using them next time we talk about improving our speaking skills.
Today, we explored how to think smart and speak fluent English.
The key is to train your brain to think in English naturally. Use what you learned today and practice daily.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Fluent English DCD podcast.
See you next time. Bye, everyone.